the beauty about this is that it takes one person, and that's why it charts the way for you to have so many other opportunities. To me, when you're all in one head, you're like, God, I got this idea, but I don't know how the hell I'm gonna move past this hurdle.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Money Moves Miami, episode 3. On this episode, we're going to talk about the power of partnerships and what each one of us play in the role of the businesses that we run. With that being said, guys, enjoy the show and let's get on with the topic. So, guys, the power of partnerships. Just to kind of kick things off, last episode we was talking about very briefly how it's very hard to go ahead and find partnerships, especially when you blend so well with the right people. And on my end, I gotta say I'm very blessed to be in partnerships with you guys because I think we all mix very well. I know last episode we spoke about how we came to be, but it's so interesting to me and funny to me how we came to be the way that we are, but we perfectly blend with each other with bringing our strengths. And I kind of wanted to start it off with that.
I'm staying quiet because I'm thinking like I'm trying to go back to when, of course, none of you guys were in my life. And me coming from an athlete background where I'm so used to like team culture and team work ethic and everybody, holding each other accountable and lifting everybody up when things are bad and things like that. For me, my first 2 years in Miami were extremely hard, even though I was on a successful business and I was doing okay. At the time, like I would go home and I would be like, fuck, like I don't have anybody to consult anything, like I don't have anybody to talk about this issue. Like I could only consult it within my family. And that's not advisable for anybody that has a business. Go home and try to consult with your family because you bring business problems into your personal life, and that always gets like a little bit tricky. But I see a lot of difficulties, and I admire the people that can pull up businesses by themselves. I actually think, and I challenge them, because I don't think that you can build a successful business on your own. I think that yes, you are the 100% owner, but you were blessed, lucky, smart enough, whatever word you want to fill that gap with, that sentence with, in finding the right people to walk the journey with you. Like partnerships are not always business partners. Like it's not always equal partnerships. It's not always like, oh, I'm going to become a partner with Ray and we're going to go 50-50 on the business. Sometimes partnerships, an employee becomes a partner, in a different way. Of course, he doesn't have ownership, but you compensate him in a specific way. You take care of him in a specific way and they become partners, And I think that we have a good example within our business that actually our director of operations, like he's not a partner. Of course, he's not on the most intimate conversations because he's not at that level of ownership, but we pretty much consider that we would take care of him forever. And because we show him that, I think that he shows us also like he cares about the business as the same level as we are, and that's another partnership, So that's for me, the power of partnerships comes from that. Like as I come from sports and now I open the conversation to you guys, like for me, I always study even when I was on my own business, I always looked outside and I always study successful people. And one thing they all have in common, nobody did it by themselves. They always have people along the path helping them, pushing them, and that for me is the power of partnerships, like not being so ego driven, not being so like, oh, I want to do everything by myself, that you don't allow others people's opinions in your business that might help you get to the next level,
Yeah. So I'm gonna jump in here real quick. Thanks, guys. I think it's important to understand the foundation of partnerships, right? And I think just like a relationship or just like a marriage, there are reasons why people gravitate to each other, right? And for me, when I think about partnerships and what we have, and make no mistake about it, I'm not going to sit here and sing to the world that by any means that this is easier, it happens every day, because it doesn't, right? That's a fact of life. As Iggy rightly said, I respect the people that do this themselves, but I'm not one of those. For me, I love this. This is what motivates me. This is the environment that I thrive in. And I'm speaking for myself now. But let's just go back, as I said. When I think about partnerships, it's like, okay, we meet and we're like, okay, let's discuss our synergies. And we look at our synergies, and our synergies are, okay, we're honest, and it's the little things that we do that we battle test each other. It's not the big things. It's not the moving the millions of dollars around or whatever. It's the little things that we do that demonstrate honesty to each other, first of all. And then it's the little things whereby how we conduct ourselves that demonstrates our integrity. And there's the little things that we do that demonstrates our business ethics. And when we look at those synergies, we're like, we will make great partners. Then we look within ourselves and we're like, what are my weaknesses and how does this person complement me? Right? Because in a partnership, you all can't have the same weaknesses. Neither can you all have the same strengths. And I know Pedro is going to want to talk about this, so I'm going to leave this for him. But for me, that's the foundation. Like when I met you guys all was first, let's get on the synergy level, right? It was, I met Pedro and not to go back and discuss this. We're like, hey, damn, Pedro and I are so aligned, right? On this level, whatever, we're honest, we have great integrity, we've gotten fucked over in the past, we understand us now where we want to be, we're not those people, we want to do right, and then we met you, and then we met Iggy, and so as I said, to me, number one, having two, having three, having four, is like almost never heard of, right? And now we got more, which we're going to talk about as well. So the synergies are first, and then we look at each other and we're like, hey, I'm weak here, Elton compliments me here. Elton is weak here, Pedro compliments me here. Pedro, Elton are weak here, Iggy compliments there. We're all three weak here, Ray compliments there. So I just want to really kick off this discussion and talking about the foundation of partnerships. And I'll let you go, Pedro.
So as I was listening to you guys speak, obviously you guys all made like really good points. And I'm going to stay on the topic, but it's something that like just snapped into my mind. Into my train of thought, and obviously it has to do with partnerships, but it's more like one of the things that I've realized is that I enjoy making money with my partners, right? And the reason why I say that is because some people are so focused on just making the money all themselves, even if they're paying like staff members or whatever. But if you really think about it, what's the point of you making all the money, but when you want to go on vacations, your old friends that can't afford the vacations that you can go on, they can't go with you, right? The family members that you care about, obviously, if you're the breadwinner and you're really making money, you're going to end up paying for them to come with you. You can't pay for all of your friends to come with you, unless you're like on a big, super big level. So to me, it's amazing that I get to make money with all of you guys, because I know that the day that we want to do, a super dope vacation or whatever the case may be, I'm like, hey guys, you guys want to go to Cabos or whatever? Let's go to Nobu or wherever the case may be. And you guys, hey, let's all go together. I know people that have their businesses and like no one else is really making the amount of money they're making. And from the outside, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like they're lonely, right? That they take trips by themselves. Like they have no one to share it with, right? And even if I have to split my business profits with my partners, I'm okay with doing that because it's the camaraderie, And it goes back to what you were saying earlier. It's like the team feel, And like to me, that's super important to have like a group of people that you care about, that you make money with, and that you get to enjoy that money with, Because it's like life is about people, if you really think about it. Yeah, it's good to make money and stuff like that, but life is about people, your friends, your family, right? what is it to have all the money in the world, but you don't really have friends or family to enjoy the money with?
Facts, but now I'm going to challenge you because you said something there like you're like, I enjoy making money with my partners because if I want to go on a vacation, and again, those are like examples that we're putting out there. It's not that we work for going on vacations, but like you're like, if I want to go on a vacation, my friends that are broke or they don't make the money that I make can come with me, so I enjoy making money with my partners. Now, the thing is, and it goes back to partnerships, why usually we end up changing our circles, right? Why usually we end up realizing down the line, yeah, we might still have a relationship with a guy from high school, with a guy from the neighborhood, but sometimes we are not aligned, to Elton's point, and we're so different that we cannot force those relationships. Mm-hmm. And usually the person that it's not growing with you is the one that ends up resenting you and ends up envying you, and it ends up like actually cutting that relationship instead of looking at the relationship and being, how can I become closer to what Elton, Pedro, Ray have achieved, you know? And I think that that's one of the main reasons why what you just said happened a lot of the times too, because it's very hard to keep relationships that people don't want to grow with you. I think that Snoop Dogg said something that I can help you, I can help my guys from the hood, you know, I can help them grow with me, but if I elevate one time and they don't want to elevate, if I elevate 2 times and they don't want to elevate, at the end of the day, I'm going to leave them behind because I can't carry them.
Like, it's not because you want to leave them behind.
It's just because they are not doing the work, because at the end of the day, you have to put in the work, you know? And it goes all back to the power of partnerships, like the synergy, like the work ethic, like your goals. Some people, like, they literally...
The risks.
Some people just want like things handled to them. Some people think that, because this is another interesting topic to attach this is like, you know, this phrase that says your network, it's your net worth. That phrase, it doesn't mean that if you hang out, if now I go in the street and I make somebody cross me and becomes my friend, that doesn't mean that you're going to make money because you're just my friend. It means because usually you stay connected with people that have the same work ethic, and they are going to usually open doors for you to grow. Now, it's on you to take those shots and grow, or don't take them and stay on the same place.
And it goes back to what Elton was saying, which I love that you said that, because you left the weakness points like for third or fourth, but you touched on like honesty, integrity, and things like that, because that's really the first thing you should look at, which then goes back to your point that you're like, you know, it's not just like finding a guy who makes a shitload of money and saying, I want to partner with this guy. Because how many guys make a shitload of money, but they're dirtbags? Exactly. You know what I mean? Or they don't have good feelings or a good heart. Yeah. You know what I mean? So if you want to elaborate on that.
No, it's a good point. That's why I open this by saying that, because that's really the foundation. You know, we have a philosophy between us, and you guys know it. I don't need to restate the obvious, but it's like, hey, honesty, integrity, and money will be a byproduct of items 1 and 2. But let me just go back again to partnerships, because this is a topic I'm really passionate about, right? You know, when you think about partnerships and you go away and I look at each one of us, and this is what I'm going to talk about today. I look at each one of us and I'm like, okay, in each case or each scenario or in each business, we take, without even realizing, organically, we adapt into different roles, right? So we'll have a case whereby Iggy will plant an idea, but then he's like, all right, where do we go from here with this? And I'll say, well, what if we crystallize this and we did that? And Pedro will say, okay, I'm going to leverage a conversation. I got it. And then you're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to market it. You see, and that's what I want to put out for the audience here, right? The dynamics behind it, because sometimes without realizing it, unless you're Aristotle or someone, these other scientists, and God bless your heart if you are, but I'm not, and that's the truth. So the thing is, sometimes the beauty about this is that it takes one person, and that's why it charts the way for you to have so many other opportunities, because it takes one person to say, hey, what if we did this? I was like, damn, I didn't think about that, but that's a great idea, but what if we did this, and that coming out of that? And then Pedro's like, damn, I'm gonna communicate that sounds amazing. I'm gonna reach out to this person, and you're like, damn, I'm gonna market the hell out of this. You see what I'm saying, guys? So, to me, when you're all in one head, you're like, God, I got this idea, but I don't know how the hell I'm gonna move past this hurdle. I just know I got this idea, but I can't break through the ceiling.
Yeah, or you have to knock,
know what I mean?
or you have to knock too many doors to get there. You know, like that's amazing. Like the beauty of partnerships is exactly that. Like you always have somebody that knows somebody. You always know like everybody have a role. That with us it happened organically. Some partnerships is more structured, you know, like than others. Yeah. We are maybe blessed because it's not normal that it happens so organically, but that was for me, like being totally transparent with the audience. And I mentioned this at the beginning, like when I met Pedro, and not to go back again, but when I met Pedro, the number one thing that stuck in my head was like, he's from Miami, okay? He has a successful business. Let's see what I can do with him, because he can for sure open up 1 million doors. Of course, then he has to like me, I have to like him, we have to be in synergy. Then we met Elton, but the reality is that you have to, like, partnerships are chosen, right? We choose who are our partners, and that for me is the beauty, and that's why the relationships, and then for me being more pure than friendships, because than when we are kids, because sometimes, and again, not to deviate from the conversation, but sometimes I feel that friendships that are from high school, from when we were kids, from the neighborhood, we tend to force them to stay in our lives for a long period of time, because we have this feeling of like, damn, I know this guy from back when I was in high school, you know? But then when partnerships come, I actually chose who I do business. I actually chose to create these. You know, if I don't like Elton, I don't have the need to be in this table. I choose to be on this table. The same with him, the same with you, the same with everybody that we partner with. So for me, that's the beauty of partnerships, you know?
But you make a really good point that I actually want to jump on and elaborate a little bit more, because I remember us sitting at the table and we said to ourselves, based on all of the characteristics of each other that we bring to the table, we're going to move mountains, okay? And then friendship is going to be a byproduct of the business relationship. Because here's another problem, or another challenge, or another issue that we often see, is that people put friendship first. They approach a business with a friendship first, and then all of a sudden, nobody wants to hold the other person accountable. And guess what's the number one factor in business? It's accountability. Because none of us, the number one success factor is accountability. Because none of us around this table can ever look at each other and call one point where one of us then call the other one to be accountable. And I'm okay with that. And you have to be okay with that as part of a partnership as well. And a lot of people are not okay with that. And that's when they get egotistical. And we're not egotistical people. If you're not doing the right things, or you're not doing what we expect, here's the Elton, listen, dude, this is what we expect. You're not doing it. Why? It's not going to be, a Hitler-type concept or whatever, but you have to be accountable for your actions and your responsibilities. And if friendship was first, that would not have been the case. We have actually put the business first, and the business has evolved into a brotherhood and a friendship for us. So I want to put that out there, and that's why now the friendship that we have is even blossoming even more, because we're past the bullshit of nobody thinks, Pedro tells me this, I'm gonna take it.
But it was the hardest part though. At least for me, it was the hardest part.
It's not easy, more for you, because you came from a background where you were responsible for yourself.
Yeah, for me,
I always had a boss.
Yeah,
you always had a boss. You had a boss. Right? Even though I was a boss of people, I had a boss too.
I just don't like having conflict with people. Like, it's not necessary. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you all have the common goal in mind. Yeah. It's like, let's just be fucking truthful. Let's be honest with each other. Okay, where are we lacking at? This isn't that, and let's just make things happen. You know what I mean? Like, we're adults. We can all, evaluate.
But it's not really a matter of not having conflict, right? It's not a matter of being passive about it. It's a matter of being held accountable. Right. And I think sometimes when we look at our structure, and I actually want to roll in to one of our businesses, and this is a good time for us to do that, when we look at the structure that we have in our businesses, right, no one reports to the other, but yet we hold each other accountable to perform at a high level, ultimately driving our success, and that's important.
Yeah, and I think that there's a level brotherhood that we've built. And I don't take, like, you know, we challenge each other all the time. To the outside, if you're listening, sometimes it may sound like an argument, but it comes from, like, for me, I'm taking it from a place like, if you guys disagree with me, I'm turning that as a learning opportunity, because please believe that I'm gonna go back home and I'm gonna analyze everything that was told to me, including what I've said, and how can I utilize that to make it better. Because sometimes when I come up with my marketing ideas, right, which does require some sort of money, some sort of strategy, or whatever the case may be, I'm pretty sure, and I know for a fact that you know I'm not coming from a perspective of trying to waste the business's money, you know what I'm trying to say, for bad terms, right? And I think that level of brotherhood, because before, with just friends, I'm like Pedro, I don't like getting into, to me, I'd rather just disconnect from somebody, because I know that this person might be problems, than to, you know, sit there and then dispute somebody or you know, argue with somebody when it comes to a disagreement, right? I know that when I do it here, is coming from a place of a learning opportunity from all of us, and I don't take anything personal, because it's business, but is more so because I know you guys are my brothers. So whatever you guys are telling back to me, right, I'm taking it as a learning opportunity. And like you said on the last episode, Pedro, that we all have to understand that everybody here has the same goal, right? And so it's not to get mad at each other, but it's just to kind of like maybe revisit another day and then, you know, just touch up on that topic again, right?
But we're going to move on, because I want to roll this into one of our current businesses and just let the audience know, you know, our respective roles and what we do and how we do it. But back to the same point, though. You have evolved into the partnership in understanding what our expectations are. You see what I mean? Before, you would have done your marketing, you would have done your due diligence or whatever, you come and present your case. Sometimes, you know, we have to send you back with, we need more facts, we need more this, we need more that, whatever. But now you've come to understand the partnership, whereby when you come equipped with the facts. Yep. You see what I'm saying? So that, again, is the beauty about partnerships, because you come, you know what your partners expect. I know exactly what he wants of me, right? I don't need to ask him. He's going to be like, Elton, did you look at the agreement? You know, oh, why? Yeah, and he's going to ask me already. Why didn't you look at the agreement? I don't take it personal, because he's going to tell me, why is this language in there? You know that this is when did you speak with whomever lawyer, whatever it is, or whatever needs to happen at that point. You see what I'm saying? Same with Iggy. We go to Iggy, he comes to the finances, he'll be like, well, why is this not he? But no, he doesn't have to, because he's come to understand and learned, and we all understand the dynamics and what we need from each other. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's a really good segue, guys, if we talk about one of our current existing companies, and how we have successfully come together as partners, and what we do in that company, you know, towards the customer success and our own success. And let's speak about some of the challenges too.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to bring up today that I spoke up on episode 2, that after I watched it myself, I was like, damn, if someone who watched it, if I didn't elaborate enough on the details of what I meant, they're going to say this guy's crazy, right? So there was a part in episode 2 where I said, I'd much rather lose time than money, right? And obviously somebody listening to that from the outside, they're like, no, there's nothing more important than time. So how are you going to say that you'd rather lose time than money? And what I meant to say is, once you've already made an investment, right, into a business, right, the investment is made. So it's either two things. You're going to make money or you're going to lose the money, right? So what do you rather have? Do you rather it take you a little longer and lose the time for you to recuperate that money? Or do you rather just lose the investment as a whole, right? So to talk a little bit about our business, like you said, it's kind of like it goes hand in hand with that, because see, and it kind of goes back to risk, which we kind of talked about it, but I just wanted to clear the air, is that if you make an investment into any business, no matter what business it is, right? There's only, like I said, there's only two things. You're either going to make money or you're going to lose money, and that's it. With our business, with NextGen, the e-commerce business, where we're an e-commerce management company, right? Obviously, we're doing like Amazon automation, Walmart automation. Our clients really...
Which, by the way, I know that you're going to lose, but that's the business that got us together. So we're lining it up.
Yeah. So like, if someone's making an investment with us, it's not about, am I going to lose my money in this investment? Am I going to, am I really ever going to see my return on investment? No, it's not about that. It's about how soon am I going to make the return on investment, right? Because we've had clients that have made their money back in 7 months, and we've had clients that have made back the money in a year and a half, for example, right?
Like, just to make a point on that is like, we call it investment, but they are actually buying our service, okay? Like, they are actually buying into our expertise, into what we do, into like our back end, into our everything, our programming, everything. And we are talking about an investment here because from their part, they are like actually giving us the money for us to actually apply a service and create a business, set them up their store, either on Amazon or Walmart. But yeah, to attach it to your point, and I was just wanting to clarify that because sometimes we have people that are like, oh, I invested money with you, this and that. They actually bought our service, right, exactly. Okay?
Yeah, so just to clarify to the general population, Next Gen Strategic Investments is a e-commerce management company. So that for you guys want to know what that means is that, for example, platforms like Amazon and Walmart allow for third-party sellers, right? And what that means is you can sell through those platforms in the same way that you can sell on eBay, right? So you can post a product, buy a product, post it, and resell it on there. What Next Gen Strategic Investment actually does is that we manage all that for you. Everything from finding the product, posting the product, shipping the product, dealing with customers, returns. So it's fully passive in the sense that you as a store owner doesn't do anything, right? You collect your check on the 1st and 15th, which I know is Amazon pays out and Walmart pays about the same, 1st and 15th. Or just
not the first. It depends on where you got your first order. So if you got your order on the 10th, 2 weeks from there, exactly. You know what I mean? So
and me coming from back when the way that I dove into it, just so you guys know, is as I went through a platform of Amazon called FBA, or Fulfillment by Amazon. I actually found that through just Googling how to invest $1,000. This was way back when, right? And I came through Amazon FBA and I found that you was able to do that. I literally spent all my weekends, which is very addicting, by the way, watching YouTube videos, but mostly going to Goodwills, going to Walmart. I stayed in the clearance sections. Amazon gives you the app when you're an Amazon seller. You can scan it and you can see for how much it's selling on your Amazon store. And you buy the product, you post it, you ship it, and then obviously
that was back then.
Way back when. It's not as easy as I'm saying it, but you get the concept, right? The rules back then is way different than it is now. But it does take a lot of time. It took up all my weekends. It took all the time with my family, with my son, and everything else. But I made pretty decent money. But in order to make more money, you have to keep what we call is feeding the beast in volume, right? But for the most part, Amazon Next Gen takes all that worry away from you. And I'll go ahead and let them elaborate, right, on different aspects of the business.
So that's awesome, Ray. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So what I want to put out here, though, and I'm going to kick this ball rolling, is I want to bring partnerships back into how we've incorporated partnerships into the customer experience and what we do for our clients. And I know that I said our clients because that's our number one priority here, right? It always has been, it always will be, okay? So what you just said sounds very easy, and as Iggy rightly said, it was then. Things have gotten a little bit more complicated, but that's the basis of the business, right? It's important for people to understand, and again, we're just using our business as an example. One of them, because as Iggy rightly said, this is the one that brought us together. Iggy, when we met him, was in the Amazon game already, basically building stores, scaling stores, and selling stores. And then myself and Pedro, not to go back really quick, we were like, okay, hey, that's what you're doing. We want to get into the business. We want to get into the Amazon game, whatever. And we're like, yeah, and we started talking, one coffee and a beer and whatever, and we moved on. But one thing was very important for us from the beginning, right? And that's before you actually started handling the marketing side and whatnot. One thing that was very important for us from the beginning as partners was organization. And it was clear that before we reached out to any client, it was, how are we going to organize the business? Who is going to own what? okay, you're gonna have these 3 things, I'm gonna have these 3 things, Pedro's gonna have these 3 things, and that's how we're gonna drive. That's gonna be the fire to propel this business forward, right? And that's what I want to make sure. And we're gonna talk about all the other good things that that Iggy and Pedro been talking about. So when we sat down, it's like, okay, again, we literally had an open face-to-face conversation on strengths and weaknesses. What do you want? You can handle this, you can handle that, I'll handle this, I'll take that. Pedro right out, jump out of the gate. He's like, give me the sales and marketing piece. And then Iggy and I, myself, we're like, okay, we'll handle the administration. Administration meaning we would have handled the entire, from the point of the person signing to the entire onboarding and back-end experiences after, which is what this journey entails. So those of you who are listening and watching, it's basically from the time you've been presented, you've signed your agreement, then there becomes an onboarding process. In the case of Amazon, typically right now we're between 8 and 10 weeks. Walmart, we're kind of between 12 and 14 weeks. Give or take some issues with the state as a result of COVID-19, and we all know how that story goes, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of where we're at now. So that was the onboarding experience. And then it was, okay, once we got them onboarded, then the back-end experience. And that's a whole portfolio. Because in that portfolio, that's where we check store health, that's where we check store profitability, make sure analytics, make sure everything is aligned with your store growing organically over a period of time. But my point in all of this is to say that we owned responsibilities at the gate. Now, that has evolved. Pedro has become extremely, and always has been, outside of sales and marketing, he now is very passionate about the customer experience. He's basically taken on a lot of that back-end performance directly in his hands. So just saying all this to say that a little bit of what we do and how partnerships have contributed to our customer success. Do we have challenges? 100%. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But again, we're going to speak about how the partnerships and our ongoing working of the brain, working over time, and calls at 11 and 12 at night, and the things that people don't see, and speaking to the teams at different hours throughout the night, throughout the day, in the interest of the client.
Yeah. It would be nice, since we're digging into that, and they're going to get a glimpse of what we go through on a daily basis as partners. But why is it, and again, everybody that has a computer nowadays, you can Google e-commerce, how to sell on Amazon, how to sell on Walmart, and everything sounds amazing. Like when you Google to raise point, how to invest $1,000, probably one of the first things that appear is like start your e-commerce business.
It was actually Kindle.
Yeah,
was my first thing that I came up with.
You have a million options. Like now, obviously, fast forward to 2021, like you may have eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Walmart Marketplace, Amazon Marketplace, and people try to pitch this amazing idea. But for me, what made me fall in love with e-commerce, and the reason I'm so passionate about, and the reason I think that we all fall in love with it, and if you guys have different point of views, let me know, but it's that it's a constantly changing industry that, you are going to have a lot of bumps, but there's no actually, like, the risk is set on the platforms. If you guys know what I mean, like the risk that this business has is not because you're going to spend your money the wrong way, because you're going to run out of money, because you're going to do a bad play money-wise, which is usually what most businesses, brick and mortar businesses, go through. Should I spend this? Should I hire this person? Should I do that? Like, it all comes down to money. Here on the e-commerce business, it comes down to the adaptability of you constantly finding ways to become better. And that's where our partnership plays a great role, because how many times we've had late night conversations about like new policies that come into play from one day to the other, and we're on the phone a lot of the times arguing, sometimes even like, holy shit, how are we going to solve this? Because again, to Elton's point, it's all on the best interest of our clients, because the ones that are paying the price, even though, again, for me, if I compare it to other businesses, that risk is minimized when you have a company like ours trying to find solutions for that. But all we're focusing on is how can we get better so our clients don't suffer through these policies, you know? So again,
And the suffering, to your point, is going to be a lot less than in any other business, right?
Why?
Or at least
Why?
why? Because, like, for example, going back to what he said, like, dude, even if you stick with Amazon, even if you don't go outside of Amazon, but let's just say you do FBA, you have to buy $100,000 or whatever amount it is that you're going to buy of a certain product, right? What happens if that product doesn't sell? You have $100,000 worth of a product that you're just sitting on, hoping that it sells. And if you're doing FBA, it's sitting on Amazon shelves. And guess what happens when those products are not being turned? Those products, you're going to get hit with a stocking fee, right? So there's a million things that this business has that, in comparison to any other business, is way more attractive. One of them being that you don't have to buy inventory up front with our business model, right? Number two,
Being
you
approved
don't-
to buy a specific brand or product.
right? You don't have to you don't have to pay for utilities like rent. You're not really renting a warehouse.
yeah,
So-
you don't have employees.
Yeah, so
you don't have
whether you make $50,000 this month or $5,000 this month, you don't have to be worried about overhead, right? And those are things that people take for granted sometimes. You know what I mean? And they forget to see the vision, right? So like this business, like in any other business, at the end of the day, it's all about patience. It's all about patience, right? And you wanted to say something.
No. You're right on track. What I was gonna say though is that everything that you said makes 1,000,000% sense, but it's important that we point out as well that this is probably the opportunity with the lowest risk. And again, I want to come back to partnerships, and I tell you guys this is why I'm so passionate about this, right? I want to come back to partnerships because at the beginning of this, I spoke about what brought us together. Like when we met, I spoke about synergy. And I spoke about honesty and integrity, and I have to keep bringing it back. And I'm gonna sound like a stock record, and that's fucking okay, because who we are, no other automation services company out there will do the things that we have done. And outside of it being a great opportunity, which it is, we've made it even greater simply because we've said, hey, if it doesn't work for whatever reasons, we will pay to get it fixed. Because it's who we are. We want to go to sleep at night knowing, you know what? As I said in my first episode, I want to be the topic. I want us to be the topic of conversation. Look what NextGen did for me. Not in a bad way, of course. So how does that translate when you look up the pyramid? It's basically this. We've used that cornerstone, those guiding principles, i.e. honesty and integrity, like, hey, we don't want anybody to suffer regardless of how good this business is. Even if in the worst case scenario, Amazon or whatever, Walmart or Facebook or whomever the marketplace might be, says, hey, you're not allowed, or you this or you that, or for whatever the reasons might be, we're going to create a new opportunity for you. Who does that?
Which it goes
Who
back
does
to,
that?
exactly, but which it goes back to what he was saying about the time and money thing, that at the end of the day, you're never losing money, okay? Like, you're only losing time. And again, understand, people, don't take this out of context or whatever. It's not that we rather lose time than money, but when your money is at play already, it's like you being on the casino and you put the money, and yeah, it's like
Either you win or you lose.
Exactly. Here,
Yeah.
you put the money in, and then all it takes is time. You can have it today, or you can have it 5 months from now, but the money's still there.
Right.
You know, you're never going to go. That money's never going to go away.
Like, and let's be honest, because like I've been dying to talk about this, and I want to be brutally honest, okay? The worst thing that can happen in this business, for example, is that you get audited, suspended, deactivated. I'm sure there's a bunch of people that are listening to this that are either in e-commerce and have experienced this, or that are our clients and that have experienced this, right? And it's that you can get audited or deactivated, right? And let's be transparent. The worst thing that can happen, most of our clients, they put the purchasing of the items, they put it on a credit card, right? We have some clients that will put 30 grand in a bank account and tell us, hey, look, utilize the funds in here to purchase the items as the orders come in, because that's the most attractive thing, in my opinion, about our business model, is that our clients, they don't have to like I said earlier, they don't have to purchase items up front. So you're not like putting your money, you're not like betting on a product for it to sell. You're only going to buy as the orders are confirmed, right? So let's say on a worst case scenario, this month you sold 20 grand worth of inventory, right? And Amazon pays bi-weekly, but sometimes they withhold funds for return purposes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let's say your account gets deactivated, right? And you're deactivated for 2 months. Whatever amount of money Amazon has that has not been paid out yet, they're going to withhold until your account either gets reinstated or if you decide to close your account, right? Then they'll release the funds. But it goes back to what I was saying. If you truly want to compare it to any other business, if you have to close your business down like people had to do last year because of the pandemic, the landlords weren't telling people, you don't have to pay me rent this month. If they were making money, if your rent for the building was $5,000 a month, you're going to have to pay the $5,000. And I hope you have money saved, because if you didn't, you weren't going to pay it. With us, worst case scenario, what's going to happen? You're going to have to pay the minimum to your credit card. Yeah, it sucks because you're going to pay interest, right? But the truth is, and that's why I'm so passionate about it, and you guys see the energy that's coming out, is because I know what it is to have businesses. I have multiple businesses. You know, we have a business that we started 8 months ago, and we've been taking $6,000 out of our pockets. And I don't know if I said this in the first podcast, maybe I did, but again, it's because, you know, it's the emotion and the passion. And we had to take $6,000 out of our pockets for the first 7 months because the business wasn't producing enough, wasn't generating enough money to pay for the overhead expenses. You know what I mean? So like,
that's one, not to mention the second one.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you know,
Don't forget that one.
and so the point of the matter is, like, again, and it's not to be salesy, because, you know, it's one of the things that we said before starting this podcast is like, oh, if we touch, you know, base on the business and things like that, we don't want to really be salesy. But I'm not being salesy. I'm just being honest. It's truly how I feel, you know, and what this business has taught me, you know, back to Iggy's point earlier, that, you know, people are buying into our service for us to manage their business, etc. The people that are making money, obviously they're happy, and, you know, like I said, they're either paying half of their mortgage with their earnings, or they're paying a car, or they're putting money away for their kids' college tuition, or whatever the case may be. And the clients that have had a tough road, you know, it's about being patient. You know, people expect to like get rich overnight, or they expect to see a certain amount of money being generated every month. You know, that's why I tell people, like, this business, like any other business, you should kind of see it like, what am I making on an annual basis?
Yearly.
On a yearly basis, you know, did you make 40 grand this year of passive income? Did you make 20? Did you make 100? I know plenty of people that have to work an entire year, and they're making, the average salary of a person in South Florida is 26 grand. The average salary, 26 grand. How many clients do we have that are making just that on a passive investment? You know what I mean? On something that they're doing nothing for, right? So even if you make 10 grand, that's still almost half of what someone actually works the entire year to make, right? So
I wanna go back on a little bit of what Pedro means, because I know he's very excited. But when he talks about Amazon audits and pauses and things like that, is Amazon will, at this point, from what we know, randomly going into your account and request certain documentation, which I think is valid. I can appreciate that from Amazon, right? Because Amazon wants to make sure that if you're using their platforms to sell products, they want to make sure that the products you're selling are legit, that you're actually buying them from a real supplier or source or whatever the case may be, because most Amazon products are gated. What does that mean? If I were to buy a Disney toy, right, I most likely won't be able to sell that product on Amazon unless I prove to Amazon that that I have permission from Disney or from my supplier that allows me to sell this, right? So you might be gated. So if you're selling a lot of products, the Amazon is gonna not take money from you, but they're gonna stop you from being allowed to sell, which you're not losing money. The money's still there until you're able to prove it, right? And one of the things that NextGen does is goes ahead and fulfills that audit for you, right? By providing Amazon the documentation needed to prove to them that the sources or where we're getting these products from are from valid places. That they're not fake. They're not from, you know,
that they're legitimate.
That they're legitimate, right?
Because a lot of people can, like, how many people buy on Alibaba?
Exactly.
And
no,
they
look
buy
at eBay.
replicas of items.
Look
you know
at
what
eBay.
I mean?
eBay doesn't. I don't know about now, but eBay, at least before,
You can buy fake Rolexes on eBay.
and you don't even know, right?
On Amazon, everything has to be legitimate.
Exactly, which maybe forces you as the entrepreneur to be even more legitimate, right? To have all your ducks in a row, because Amazon could be lucrative, right? So that's what he's talking about, doing that. From what we know, other automation companies that handle this type of business for you lets you deal with that on your own. And so there's companies that you have to pay for that are specialized in auditing and recovering your store back in there. But NextGen Strategic Investments has that included in their service fee, right? So which can mean a lot, right? Because sometimes stores
Yeah,
can
an
come
audit
back.
can be $2,000.
Yeah, but I'm saying the process of the auditing, because Amazon is on their own time, it could take 30 days or it could take a little bit longer. However, just know that within that time that your store is not selling,
it can take a year.
It could take even a year.
And not to cut you off, but that goes to this whole partnership thing. We don't look at our clients as clients. We look at our clients as partners, because digging into more of what we do, and this is, again, maybe a lot of people that are hearing this, they are affiliated to other companies, or they work with us, or whatever the case may be. Like, if our clients don't make money, we don't make money. Okay, and again, this is not sounding salesy or anything, by no means. I don't want you guys to buy anything from us, for real. I'm just explaining this because, again, that's one of the key things that stuck with us. Yeah, from the beginning when we started this whole thing. Like, one of the things that actually Pedro said, but we all agreed into it, is that, guys, I don't want to open the door of the people that I know and burn anybody, you know. And that goes back to everybody having the same values and the same core principles, that we were like, no, if we do this, we're actually going to do because we want to make people money. So we're going to take all the precautions that we need to take in order for this to be a passive income for them. It's not a passive business for us. We run this 24/7. But again, when a store is shut down 2 months, 3 months, a year, because we had cases that stores being shut down for a year. Not many, but I think that we have 2 in the whole history of the business.
It's actually, I think it may just be one.
Okay,
maybe it's
But
one.
yeah,
I don't
maybe.
know. But like, what I'm saying is, while that store is shut down, who's paying the staff? Who's paying the people that are working on the store? Who is actually having to come out of pocket to cover all the expenses? They might be minimal. They might be $2,000 a month. It doesn't matter. Next Gen is paying it. Yeah. Nobody's knocking on the door of the client saying, hey, you have to pay your management fee. There's no management fee. You just pay your service fee one time, and that's for the lifetime of the business. If that happens, let's say your store is shut down for 2 months, 3 months, once that goes back on, and it might happen again, because it may eventually, like lately, because of Amazon policy changes and what's not, we are picking up the tab again. So I think that that's the beauty of this partnership that we are able to set with our clients.
Right.
Because
at the end of the day, even though we're the ones that are managing the business, like, we're not Amazon.
Exactly.
We don't determine who gets audited or what we get audited for. And one of the things that I really want to bring to light is that Amazon is the most lucrative business in the world, right? But the truth is that their customer service for sellers is pretty shitty. And the reason why I say that is because you really can't get on the phone with somebody and say, look, I noticed that you guys audited me for this or that. Like, for example, I have a friend of mine who has a store with us, and the valid tracking rate was a little below the percentage that he had to be at. And his valid tracking rate was already over the percentage, right? Which is over 95%. And he calls me the other day and he's like, dude, I'm looking at the valid tracking rate. I'm over 95%, but I'm still getting an automated message from Amazon saying that I'm below the 95% tracking rate. And we've called Amazon before. We finally speak to someone who doesn't even take care of that department, because, again, they don't really have a department for sellers, but the people that are in customer service for the buyers, I guess they have some type of access. And when they look at it, they're like, oh, don't worry, it's just some type of glitch and things like that, right? And sometimes people, they get an email from Amazon, which all emails from Amazon are automated, and they take it for face value. So sometimes we have clients, right, that they may get like an audit, like what Ray was saying, that you'll get like a random like product audit, but it says inauthentic item. Obviously, the source that we're getting the items from is an authentic vendor. They're selling legitimate items, but the wording on the message of the audit says inauthentic. So people, obviously, for a lot of people, think the worst from the beginning. So they see the product, they see the word inauthentic item or whatever, word it states on there, and they're like, oh, like, where are you guys getting the product from? Are you guys selling a knockoff? No, we're not selling a knockoff. You know what I mean? If we were setting a knockoff, we wouldn't have been in business for almost 3 years now. We wouldn't have clients making money.
And that's funny that you said, because it goes back again. I'm not bringing this back for no reason, but this goes for everything. If you are not going to trust your partner, if you're not going to trust the service, if you're not going to trust 100% what you are doing, don't fucking do it. You know, because going back to that conversation, like, people are even doubting, and it's like me getting into business with you guys, and 2 months into the business, I'm doubting Elton because one day I called him and he was kind of sleepy, and I'm doubting him that he's going to run away with the business money. And I'm like, Pedro, yeah, Elton is going to run away. Like, dude, if you think like that, number one, you should have never gone into business with that person. If you are going to think that a service provider is going to screw you over or something like that, you should have never put your money in. And at the end of the day, I think that that's the number one thing when it comes to choosing your partners, choosing your service providers, choosing everybody that you're going to partner with, is to actually trust them.
But look, the reality is you're right? And I bring you guys back to this sometimes because we around this table, we're savvy investors, right? We are risk adverse. But we have to remember that not everyone has the mindset that we have, right? And we talked about this in the last episode. So the most we can do is make better the things that we have control over in the interest of the client. That's our job. That's the way I see it as partners, right? We come together, which we've been doing, and we do a successful job at it. It may not be receiver interpreted that way in the part of the client, which we've seen multiple times over as well. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go home peacefully, and you guys should too, knowing that, you know what? Myself, Ray, Elton, and Iggy, we gave our best. We made sure that they understood the terms and conditions going into it. We made sure that we went above and beyond the call of duty to make sure that you're taken care of. And even beyond that, we're willing to give you or provide a different opportunity. So at the end of the day, if I know I've checked all three of those boxes, the onus is back on you, client. And that's the facts, right? Those are the facts, because no matter what you do, they could sit down and say, oh, well, you know, I didn't know this, I didn't know that, I didn't know that. Everything is clear to you, because nothing we do is a handshake or under the table. Exactly. Everything that we do is documented by way of an agreement. And before you even sign an agreement, we present to you, we give you a chance to ask questions, we get on the telephone with you multiple times, and that's when we explain the business to you in totality.
And most importantly, or not most importantly, but just as equal as important, guess what? We have an office. We're not hiding from anybody. Most of the businesses, most of the companies that do what we do or similar to what we do, they don't even have an office that people can go and visit and sit down and talk to the staff, or even see one of the founding members or the owner of the company walking down the hallway. You know what I mean? Like, we're not hiding from anybody. If we were a company, or, you know, people that we would be, you know, just trying to take people's money and not give them something in return, and not give them a profitable business, you know, we wouldn't have so much accessibility. I mean, shit, we probably wouldn't even have this podcast, because this is going all over the nation. Everyone and anyone can see it. You know what I mean? We're putting our faces in front of these cameras. Anyone that wants to come to Next Gen offices, you know where we're at, in the Miami Design District. We're not hiding from anybody. You know what I mean? So, like, I'll give you guys a perfect example. Just this week, we had a client that the lady was having a fit because Amazon was withholding like $3,000 from her, right? Like $3,600 or something like that. And she got a message again, and this is going back to, because I'm trying to educate you guys on the whole process of Amazon and what you see, right? So she gets one of those automated messages from Amazon that says, we won't be releasing the funds for, like, in the meantime, because
never. We will never stop sending us
emails because we're not releasing funds. Well, we got our funds released yesterday. Yeah. You know, so people see this, and it goes back to what Elton was saying. If you're gonna make the investment, and you already made the investment, and all of the details and everything were discussed, and you trusted us, trust the process. Trust the process because, again, we're adults, right? We make our own decisions. No one puts a gun to someone's head and says, give me your money or invest in this or invest in that or whatever the case may be. You know, and even to compare it with any other businesses, my friend here has had investments, real estate investments, where
We all had crypto,
yeah,
everything,
crypto,
like
real
everything.
estate, anything you can think of, we've pretty much put money into, right? And we don't get our return on investment back so quickly, and everything is not green once we make the investment. You know, sometimes the grass gets a little dry, and we have to water it a little more, and then eventually you're gonna see the roses blossom and the trees. You know what I mean? The grass get green again, and so. The problem is that I feel too, which is one of the things that we're doing now as a company, is that we're kind of gauging clients and we're kind of like auditing clients that are coming into our service because we don't want people that are desperate that need to make $2,000 a month starting from tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, how much money do you make? What's your credit? What's your credit like? Can you actually withstand?
That's a fucking
yeah,
great point.
yeah.
because
Can
a
you
lot
actually
of
withstand
people-
the ups and downs of the business?
A lot
you know?
of people come in because they heard somebody saying like, oh, I'm making $5,000, $2,000, whatever it is with an Amazon store or what a Walmart store and what's not. But they come into the table because they have 40 grand saved, but they probably make three grand a month. No, it's not that. It's all they have saved, but they make $3,000 a month. So they now are trusting a passive investment for them, a passive business for them, to make them more money than what they do actually while they work. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you something, and you can Google this, you can quote me, this is life, okay? As I said, guys, for us, this is not a passive business. Like, we work at NextGen every day. So for me, NextGen, managing 400 plus e-commerce, I work on this every day. Like, for me, believe me, it's not passive. So what is the reason why people may think that a passive investment should, from the get-go, make them more money than actually working? Let me tell you something, and Gary Vee, I think, said this, and I know that I mentioned him on the first episode,
and the second,
and now again, but,
and the third.
But he said this thing, and it's true. He's like, guys, the only time that passive income is going to exceed your actual working, like work hours, is when you are fucking at the top, right? Yes, you can make a shitload of money with our service, but it's patience. Like, you cannot expect the business that you're investing into for not doing nothing to kick out of the gate. Sometimes it happens because we have clients that from the get-go they make $4,000 and it's amazing, especially now with Walmart. But you can't expect that from the get-go to get those numbers without being patient. Like, because if not, I'm going to turn the ball around and I'm going to ask you, okay, how long it took you in your life to make $3,000? Mm-hmm. You know? Because that's the reality, like, or $5,000 or whatever the amount of money you make. Like, it takes time, guys. It all goes back to the progress, the process, not the progress, the process, and how they are phases on every aspect of your life, on everything that you do.
And like for example, like I was gonna say earlier, my friend here has a few rental properties, right? He's had the bad luck, right, where he's had a couple where people stopped paying rent. He's had to take money out of his own pockets every month for 5, 6, 7, 8 months, 9 months to pay out of his own pocket the mortgage for a property that someone else is living in. Is he gonna say now that real estate is terrible and he's never gonna want to invest in real estate ever again, or that real estate is a scam because, you know, someone stopped paying rent? No, like, again, every business goes through ups and downs. You got to take the good with the bad. You can't expect for everything to be perfect. You know what I mean? If like, let's say if you were to buy into someone's services and someone wouldn't really tell you like, hey, look, in this business, you can go through an audit, or this and this can happen, I would understand. You would be pissed because you're like, damn, no one told me that I can go through an audit, you know? But how many times do we tell clients, look, let's say we have 400 stores, 10% of our stores have gotten audited, right? Okay. Yeah. Your store might get audited. When it gets audited, like he said, it's a matter of being patient. We have a protocol in place. You guys have never done this. We are the experts. We know what we have seen. We've seen every single email possible that you can possibly see from Amazon. Like we said earlier, of don't send any more emails to this email address because you're not gonna get your funds back, or your store's not gonna get reinstated, and boom, we get it done, you know. So again, if once you make an investment, just know it's kind of like, you know, what I've had people tell me before, that they're like, dude, I don't like to loan out money, but when I loan out money to a friend, I don't expect to see that money back. Like, I'm not.
That's not a good person to be loaning money to.
Yeah, well,
if you're going into that mindset, that's not a good person.
It's a mindset to like not go crazy and not get after the person every day and say, "Where's my money? Where's my money? Where's my money?" Like, if you're not in a financial situation to loan out money or make an investment because you're up to here and you got to cover bills, then maybe you're not in the right position. It's not the right timing yet for you to make the investment.
You know, look, I think that the best companies out there, because at the end of the day, to do service, to buy into a company, or to get service from a company, it's all a risk, right? And the best companies differentiate themselves from how do they explain the service, right? Is the people working in the business the right people? And how do they mitigate the risk? Because every service or business has some sort of risk, right? At some point. And now I want to turn this, to you guys, right? And I'm curious to know the answer, because this will be pretty dope, is what do you think the value is from Next Gen, right? And I'll set some rules. You're not allowed to say that we're the best and all that stuff, because anybody could say that, right? But what is the value of Next Gen, like, for those that do have the money to invest? How should people see it?
You look at me, so that means I'm starting, right? No, that's fine. This is easy. This is easy for me. I live for this moment. Okay?
Exactly.
Yeah. I live for this moment.
He asked for the ball.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go back, right? And before I answer your question, I wanted to say that we've defined and spelled out all of the challenges, right, of this business. But I want people to understand and know, before I answer your question, Ray, I'm not digressing. E-commerce, if you don't invest in e-commerce and you have the money to do it, think again. And now that is a sales pitch. I'm gonna say why. Because the facts are the facts. Coming out of this pandemic, you should be asking yourself, if you're a savvy investor, what would I want to invest in should there be another pandemic or a third pandemic? And the facts are the facts. No one ever believed that we would have ever lived through something like this. And the fact that it happened one time, there's a high probability that it's going to happen again. I don't know, I'm not a scientist, I'm just saying, right? E-commerce is the future. We've seen how people have learned to work from home. We've seen how companies, even like BJ's and all these others, have learned to do, hey, you know what, we're going to order online pickup. Everyone has found a way to adapt to the new, which is online. So I'm saying you should think about it as an investment opportunity. This is a great business. Every business, as my partners and you have said, comes with challenges, and you guys nicely put it. But I think if you look at it, this one presents the least amount of the challenges, and more so because of the people that are managing it, i.e. us. And I just want to put that out there. Right. Back to the value. What is the value in Next Gen? I'm going to let everybody speak for themselves so we don't speak for each other. For me, the value of Next Gen from my perspective is that I came from, as I said in episode 1 and 2, a highly regulated corporate background where I achieved major success as a senior executive. For me, customers always been 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? And that for me, I've translated that into this business. Even though my partners remind me sometimes, Elton, you know, and I get it, they're right too, in the same sentence, but I'm always looking for ways as to how we can put the client on the pedestal. Reasonably, because let's be real, as you guys rightly said, people invest sometimes, we give them everything and more, and they still want more, right? But for me, I've brought over that corporate executive success into Next Gen as one of the founding members and one of the managing partners. And I think that level of organization and structure and customer experience only lends itself towards representing the client. I'm not saying I'm not for my business, because I am, because then I won't be doing this. Right. But I want people to understand that for me, it's all about structure. It's all about being organized. It's all about the customer experience. And that's my value added to our business as it pertains to the client and as it pertains to the business.
For me, I would say when we got into this business, we said, okay, what can we do to be different? What can we do to add more value to the investment that clients are making? And what can we do to truly make this a turnkey solution, right? And the reason why I said that is because before we decided to open up a management company to manage e-commerce stores for our clients, we looked around and we were like, what is the game missing? You know, like, what is it that no one else is offering that we can offer that can make everything easier for people, right? And that in a way has also like bit us in our ass, because a lot of the people that have never experienced e-commerce that come into our business or into our business, they take certain things for granted, right? And so I've heard horror stories of people that have paid another company, another automation company, X amount of dollars, right? But guess what? You have to figure out how to set up your own business, how to set up your own tax exemptions, how to onboard the store on the platform, because it's not like, oh, you're just signing up for a newsletter and putting your name and your email address. There's a lot more things and documents that you have to attach, and the ways that you have to attach the documents and things like that come into play, right? And we've heard of horror stories where people have paid these companies and they've been told, well, when you set up your business, call us. We know of a guy that paid someone 25 or 30 grand. He never figured it out. No one ever helped him. And hey, the guy lost his money pretty much, right? And that's why we said, what can we do? How can we add value? What can we do to make this a turnkey solution? So what do? We set up the entire business for our clients from the beginning. All they have to do is fill out a few forms with the information that we need. We go ahead and we set up the business for them. Going back to Elton was saying earlier, there's a few things that are out of our hands. For example, tax exemptions is part of the process. Listen, once we submit the tax exemptions, if COVID-19 is in play and it takes 4 months for us to get the tax exempt back from the state, that's out of our hands. We've done our job. The tax exempt has been submitted for the tax exemptions. You know what I mean? But our clients don't have to worry about that. We handle that, right? The onboarding process, we actually go through it with our clients so that they can see the onboarding process, and we help them through it, et cetera, et cetera. Once the store gets onboarded, obviously that's when we come in and we start doing our job. If a store was to get audited, we actually pay for the appeals, right? We're also building an in-house appeal team that we're starting to handle some appeals, right, as well. Our clients don't have to come out of pocket, because guess what? Other companies, they'll tell you, oh, your store got audited, whether it's their fault, whether it's not their fault, whether it's a random audit or whatever the case may be, you have to figure it out. They might give you a number if you're lucky, and they'll say, call these people and see how much they charge you for this audit, this appeal, and you're gonna have to come out of pocket in addition to the money that you paid them to start the business, right? So we handle all of this for our clients, and this is what we do to bring true value to our clients, you know, and so that's the value that we bring. Obviously, there has to be patience, right? And it's funny because I was talking to one of our business advisors the other day, because a client was complaining because, you know, one of the states took like 3 months to send back the tax exempt. And they're like, oh, but I already paid the money to get started and this and that. Well, yeah. So when I'm building a luxury home somewhere, right? And I have an architect that does my blueprint, right? Guess where I have to send that? To the county, and the county has to approve it. And until the county doesn't approve it, I can't go ahead and build my home, right? And I have to get permits. And now I'm building a pool in my house and I have to wait for the permits to come. So am I going to sit around and tell the architect, or am I going to sit around and tell the guy who's building my home, hey, but I already gave you the money? No, it's the city, right? So it goes back to me. For me as a business owner, one of the things that I want to do and that we're starting to implement is that we're not just accepting anyone into our services. We're actually making sure that the people that are coming in not only have a business mindset, but that know that it's a patience game, because there's a lot of things that can happen in business, and no business is a straight climb up. You know, it's gonna be ups and downs. So again, those are the things that we add as a business, that we bring value to our clients and make it a turnkey solution. Those are the things that we do to mitigate issues, and that's the business mindset that I expect our clients to have. And that's the same mindset that we've had, and that's the same mindset why we've been successful and what we do in all the business that we've done. With the grace of God, thank you. We've been successful because we've had patience, we stay true, and we work hard.
So what is it, the rule that the world that we can use? What word?
The rule is that we can't say all the fluffy stuff. Like, for example, we are the best.
Okay.
We are, because anybody can say that, right?
I can't say we're the best because there's no comparison to who we are. And the reason I said that, and again, it's not trying to be salesy or anything, but I was listening to my partners here, and I was thinking about the journey, like when we started, you know, the conversations on the coffee shop, the conversations in my old office where we would gather to talk about, in my old house too. And from the beginning, as Pedro said, we looked out, okay, as to what the others were doing. And it was not to copy them, but it was looking what is it missing? Like, why I would not go to these people and give my money. And that's where everything started. Like, I can say all the things that my partners just said, you know, but not to be repetitive. Like, what we bring to the table is that we fucking care. You know, we care for the people that are actually buying into our service, and we care genuinely. I don't care for social media. I don't give a fuck about. I'm not saying this because I'm on this podcast. Like, this is truly who we are. Like, today I was having a video conference with a client, and he said it himself. Like, he's like, I appreciate you giving me your time and putting the face. And I'm like, this is what I'm here for. Like, I'm not here to hide, because for me the goal is not to get money and not give a return. If you're going to buy into our service, I want you to make money too, you know. And we actually change the industry, even though nobody will recognize it. And I'm not saying it because I want recognition from anybody, but I'm not calling anybody out, but we force people to open up offices. We force people to start looking into their service agreement. We force people to start talking about paying for appeals. We force people to start actually getting warehouses, because it's all fake for, not us, them, it's all fake, it's all for the gram. Okay, we force people to do all this stuff that before we were in the game, they were not doing. And you guys can go back, okay, because everything is online, okay, I'm not making anything up. Go back, look at the data. Next Gen from day one, it's on the same place in the design district. We've always been on front of the camera. We've always told people to come to our office. We've always met with people. These other dudes, they started talking to clients, okay, once we started doing like testimonials. They started showcasing stuff more because Next Gen was doing it. And I guarantee you, I don't need to know, but I guarantee you that the only reason they find out is because, and this is true, Next Gen service was always more expensive. And the only reason they might have find out is because they might have conversations with potential clients from Next Gen that they were like, oh, but Next Gen is more expensive. That's why I want to talk to you. And guess what's happened to those people that decided to go to the competition because of a fee? They got stuck up. They got like, fuck, now I wish I would have gone with Next Gen. And this is real talk. Like, we have phone calls with clients that bought a service from us and they bought a service from another company. And at the end of the day, they all come to realize that. Not because we are more expensive, we are better, but
in some cases, we're not more expensive.
Yeah, in some cases, we're the same.
In some cases, we're less expensive
exactly.
too.
In some cases, we're less expensive too. But at the end of the day, is that we've put a price to our service that is fair for what we offer, because we work 24/7 for the client. We are not full of shit. Like, we call the shots how it is. Like, we never sugarcoat anything with no client. And to Pedro's point, and this is the last thing that I said, is that the only thing that we ask in return is patience and trust. Because if you had enough trust at the beginning to sign the agreement and you left the office happy, I'm part of Next Gen, this and that should come. And I'm not saying that, like, I'm not enforcing this, because everybody's their own person, but that should come with a little bit of trust at least, and say, okay, I put my money into this company, I put my business into this company, I want to trust the process. And when they tell me something, it's because they know what they're talking. And believe me, that if something new, like a new policy change or something, we're not going to hide behind the excuses of like, oh, this or that. We're going to tell you, listen, this is new, we have to look into it. Because we don't know, we are the experts, but as I said, we are in an industry that changes every quarter, every 6 months, sometimes every month. There's new policies, new rules, new regulations, but at the end of the day, we have your back. So I'm not going to use the word we're the best, but I think that there's nobody that compares to Next Gen, Nobody does what we do for our clients.
And to touch on something that he said, we actually had a client that called the office the other day and spoke to one of our staff members, and the lady was honest. And the reason why she was honest is because I guess like one of her tax exempts or something got like delayed like 2 weeks, and I don't know, it was something minor. And then she I guess she always wanted to open up 2 stores, I guess. So she went with another company for a second store. And when she actually compared, I remember she called one of our staff members, and she's like, let me tell you something, I want to apologize to you, because I guess she was making this lady's like life kind of hard at our office. And she said, I want to apologize to you directly, and also let your bosses know that I want to apologize to them, because I was hounding you guys, and I was really pissed or whatever, for a certain part of the process. But I want to let you guys know that I opened up a second store with another company, and now when I compare, I see how much you guys truly do. Because when I compare it with what this other company, is doing for me, like, they're literally not doing anything for me. Like, they're just telling me, okay, when you have this ready, I'm going to manage it, and that's it. But they don't handle anything at all. And sometimes we take things for granted, and it's kind of like ignorance, from people's perspectives, because they don't think like further, like, why are these guys really in this business? Like, why are they doing this? Why do I see that they're successful? Obviously, if we're successful in doing what we're doing, is because we're making other people successful. If we were making other people successful, we wouldn't be successful, So
Yeah, I think, and I'll finish off with mine. Somebody that's more marketing or advertising inclined, I'm always stuck with the questions with any businesses that we're involved in is, how do we separate ourselves from the competition without the fluffy stuff, right? Because everybody is going to say, we're the best, we're this, and that. But putting myself in the client's shoes or the investor's shoes, right? If you've saved up money and you want to go into a passive investment, I think you have to ask the right questions. And so this is my perception of the value I think that Next Gen brings, right? All of these points, and it's great, right? This is where you guys get to see the power of partnerships, because we work together. We have this different mentality on the value we bring, and we ensure that we play our part into bringing the value that we just said, right? And I think some of the questions that you should ask yourself as an investor or a potential client is, well, I'm dealing with people, with entrepreneurs, with business owners that know how to flip money, right? And so if on average within the year, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't looked at the data as of recent, but in the year we make our clients about $10,000 to $20,000 on top of the initial investment within a year, right? Can you say on average that would?
I mean, after the first year.
Remember,
you have a 90-day probational period on Amazon.
Got it.
Now
Yeah.
with Walmart, that's,
little quicker.
That's probably going to be the case.
Yeah.
Right. But with Amazon, yeah, there's a 90-day probational period. Then if you go through an audit, obviously things like that.
So we're talking about stores generating
But
you.
let's say the return on investment is going to be from 12 months to 24 months.
Got it. So we're talking.
Amazon.
Exactly. So let's just to kind of sum everything up. You're making your initial investment back plus an additional 10 to 20K on your money, right? How much is that? How much is that worth to you? To me, that's the value added, right? From my perspective.
Or even if it takes you 2 years to make your return on investment, how many businesses actually make your return on investment back within 2 years?
To that too, like the biggest value, if you want to add it like that, is that you are having a self-managed business that it's going to make you money. Let's don't put a time frame, but yeah, it's anywhere between the frame that Pedro said, but it's going to make you money, and you don't have to actually put in the work.
Right. And I'm only speaking because before this, I've done marketing. I've delved into different, things of marketing, right? With YouTube, with advertising, and especially videography and photography, right? Which until very recently, I wasn't thinking this way now. But I went through a very rough time, trying to sell my videography and photography services to people that just didn't comprehend it, right? And so somebody comes up to me and say, yo, I want you to make one of these videos. These are really dope. Okay, so then instead of coming out with price, well, why do you need this video, right? And what you think this video is gonna do to your business, right? Well, the problem is, let's assume that the problem is I'm not getting enough engagement. I'm not getting enough attention to the business. And I think with a video, it could potentially bring an extra 5 to 10 more people to my business. All right, cool. How much is each client worth, right? Let's say whatever business you're doing, you make about $5,000 each person that comes in. So an extra 5 to 10 more clients is going to be a significant amount, right? So then you charge your camera services or your videography services based on what you could potentially bring to that client. But then a lot of people are going to be like, well, I only have $500 or $1,000 to spend on it. Well, what do you mean, bro? You're trying to only spend $1,000 to make 50K? What investment do you know that you could spend $1,000 and generate 50K back? Because we all want to know here.
Dogecoin.
Dogecoin. We all want to know here, right? And I think a lot of investors, and as a business, we got to continue to ask ourselves, what is the problem? What are you looking to get from the business, right? And what they could potentially bring. Let's forget about the cost compared to an e-commerce store, an opening app, an actual store on here. Let's look at who you're dealing with, what they're good at, which is opening multiple businesses, and the fact that we could take your initial investment and multiply it over several years, right? That difference to me is the value on top of what you guys said. So on top of us providing an a la carte service that you're fully hands off of everything, literally the only thing we ask you to do is to go to the bank and open up your business bank account, because you have to physically be there, right, to sign up the papers. Once that's done, you give us the EIN, the articles, and
no, we get that for them.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We provide that to them. They just gotta give us that. We just gotta put the account number on Amazon or Walmart, because they're gonna get paid. So we're gonna work the entire month, and at the end of the month, they're gonna pay us, but they're the ones that are getting paid. Exactly. So literally, obviously, it's not gonna happen because they would be shooting themselves in the foot. But literally, we made someone 20 grand today after they made the return on investment, and we worked the entire month, and they wanted to disappear and not even pay us those 20 grand and say, "Screw e-commerce, I'm out." Yeah. Right? They can literally do that because we don't even have access to their bank accounts. They're the ones that are getting paid.
Exactly.
So,
and I think it's a beautiful thing. I wanted to ask that question because I wanted everybody watching this video to get a clear perspective of not only the way our partnership plays in this machine, but where all our minds are and how much we care about what we bring to the table. So even though it's different perspectives of value, they all play into providing a unique quality service when you join, Next Gen. There's going to be companies that charge cheaper than us. There's going to be, or more, right? But it goes down to that value, right? What are you getting? And we understand, just like Lamborghini and Ferrari, we understand we're not trying to market out to the general public. You know what I'm trying to say? This business, this service is not for everybody, just like those cars are not for everybody, right? And they're cool with that. They're not trying to market to everybody. They're just trying to market out to the people that have the money saved up for that, are looking for a different opportunity, maybe have somewhat of an entrepreneurial mindset, but that you want to deal, ultimately you want to go ahead and deal with the right people, right? And that's where I say where the perceived value is. And I think it's all right answers, man. I just wanted to get, and I think it couldn't have been said any better for everybody. So cool.
We can wrap it up there.
You guys like that?
Yeah.
You liked it?
We can wrap it up there.
So with that being said, guys, thank you for joining us on this episode 3 of Money Moves Miami. I hope you liked it. Let us know your perspectives on risk, on any questions you want to ask us. Leave it in the comments below, or go ahead and email us. The emails are also in the description, so that we can go ahead and answer them on the next episode. But Pedro,
One last thing I want to say to all of potential clients that want to come into our service, or to existing clients, our office is right there in the Miami Design District. You guys can come see us anytime, any place. Do not make assumptions about the business. And let us give us an opportunity to show you guys who we are, what we do, and that we truly care. And yeah, just this is a business like any other business. We're here to make you guys money, and at the same time, we're here to make money ourselves. So again, we're right there in the Design District, and we'll be happy to see you guys at our office anytime. That's it.
that's it. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.